Hello, fellow writers. I'm Lewis. That over there is Tolkien, and you have found the Scripturient Society. That was weird. I was distracted by the little recording button at the top. It changed. Hello, everyone.
You have reached the the podcast of the Scripturient Society. Leave a message after the tone.
Yeah,
That's what it felt like.
for
That's
real.
excellent. But yeah, welcome you guys. I'm Ash O'Rourke, aka Tolkien, and that over there is Carissa Harlow, aka Lewis. And it's been a minute, and maybe even a minute
Yeah.
and a half since we have last
Mm,
been here at the Scripturient
nice.
Society, but we've missed you. We're just been doing important
Yes.
things, I assume. Um,
Mm.
Lewis, would you like to talk about your important things?
My important things. Well, most of my important things revolve around the holidays, so that's cool. I'll just go. I don't know if you guys listened to the Christmas episode, but for some reason, I'm just going to assume you haven't. And if I repeat myself, oh well. So my cousin was in like a production of the Nutcracker, and she was the Snow Queen, and it was so cool. And I got to go see her, and she was fantastic. So that was fun. And then I guess, okay, I have a cool Christmas story for everyone, and I don't think Ash has heard it. So. Ash got me a Christmas present, and I'm gonna get Ash a Christmas present, but I have not been on top of things lately, so it might
Oh
be
my
closer
God.
to like a February present. But
No worries. You're all good. And I think I made everyone's presents. So like
yeah,
they're
you
not
did.
fancy.
Okay, but here's the thing. So I got this little box in the mail, and I knew it was from Ash because, I don't know, it's just obvious when it's from Ash. So I'm
You're
like,
like it
okay.
was illegible. The handwriting could not be read.
But I was like, okay, I'm gonna save this for Christmas. I think I got it a couple days before Christmas. So I put it aside, and then we had Christmas Eve. Like my mom's side of the family came over, and everyone was here, and it was really fun. My mom is like a great hostess, and she had like games and fun stuff and food, and so that was really cool. And then I was planning to just kind of, have a chill night. So I'm sitting alone, everyone's left in my room, and I'm like, I'll just open Ash's present and it'll be fine. And I was just expecting, this is gonna sound terrible. I was expecting just like an average present. I'm like, this will be cool. It'll be kind of like a good end to a Christmas Eve. So I open it up and there's this little note, which I'll get to, but she wrote this like little note. And then I just like remove the note. And what do I find? But these like wrapped things. And the necklace is great. It's a cute necklace. And there's like this little pyramid thing that I put on my bookshelves. It's great. I assume you made them. They're very cool.
I did.
But the
Yeah.
first one I opened was the D&D die, and I like had a little heart attack. They're D&D die with book pages in the middle. They're
Yeah.
so cool.
Aren't they cool?
I
I made them
love them.
special for you. I was like, okay, I have to make them like
Yes.
magical and nerdy. I made them
Yes.
special. The little pyramid I made special because I was like, she's gonna put it on her bookcase. I just know it.
Yes.
And it's not
Yes,
great. That
that's
one
where
was
it
one of my
goes.
earlier works, but those are like the
There.
masterpiece, like the best dice I've made. A lot of people got dice this
Yes.
year. Well, like five people, but those were like far and above, like the coolest
They're
ones.
so cool. I love them. So I like opened it up and I was like, because sometimes like parents take pictures of you when you open presents on Christmas. I'm like, I
Yeah.
had to open it in the middle of the night when no one is awake. I can't talk to anyone. I can't tell anyone about this cool gift. I'm like I gasped. It was so cool. And I was like fiddling with them for like an hour. And I sent you Snapchats about it. And I don't know if you've seen them yet,
I'm
but
not
look
open
forward to
my
that one day.
Snapchat. Oh my
So I
gosh.
did get your Christmas present. Anyway, I was so excited. They're so cool. I felt so seen. I was like, Ash really understands who I am as a person. Like
Yeah.
adventure, but in an introverted way. And so
Yep.
it was
Yep.
just so cool. Um,
Oh,
I'm
that's so
boring.
funny.
Okay. Anyway, so then I get to the bottom of the package, and I remember kind of vaguely, like a while ago, Ash saying that one of the podcast listeners had sent me a Christmas present, but it had kind of slipped my mind. So I was like, oh, cool. And so it's from Catherine. So shout out to Catherine.
A whole year
It's
later,
this
I'm so
beautifully
sorry.
wrapped. Yeah, I did finally get it. It's
Yep.
this beautifully wrapped in Hogwarts paper book. And I'm just thinking like, cool, nothing's gonna top these D&D die. But like, cool, I like books and I'll open it now and it'll be fine. She got me the Alexandra Bracken book, Brightly Woven, which is her first book that I have never been able to find anywhere. And I have it right here. Let me show it to you.
What?
Ow.
What a good Christmas to be Carissa. Oh my
She like
gosh.
found it somewhere, and I opened it and I could kind of see it because I searched high and low for this for a good like 4 or 5 years, and I just couldn't find it anywhere because it's not
Weird.
in print anymore. So I like peeled back the paper and I was like, "Hey, that face kind of looks like the brightly woven face, but no way." And I kept opening. I'm like, "It's brightly woven. It's so cool. I am so excited for this book. Thank you so much, Catherine. This is
I did not
amazing."
know something so special as sitting here for a
I know.
year. Catherine, I want you to know I never forgot. I'm just like that bad about actually going to the post office. Like it was sitting in, there's like a place where I put things that have to go in the mail, but this was something that had to be in a box. Okay. But it has not left my
Mm.
sight for a year. I promise you. I never
And
once
I
did it
have it
slip
now.
my mind. It took forever to get it to you.
I was just
I'm
like
so
so
glad.
baffled. I was, this might be one of the best presents I've ever gotten ever. And it's from someone who doesn't actually like know me in person. So that's very cool. Are you just like an excellent gift giver? Like, is that a skill you have?
She's
Because not my
absolutely an
skill.
excellent gift giver. She gave
Yeah.
me like these adorable little like children's classics books for Riley, and
Oh,
it's horrible. I'm forgetting which book she got me now, but I love it. I loved it. Um yeah, so yeah, she's really
I hope
good at
you're
getting
listening.
gifts.
You're amazing. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Catherine, you're wonderful and we love you. And she also sent me treats. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yay.
Yep.
So and the thing is, I like opened it and I had this moment of like, okay, this is a dream. This is not real life because I don't remember ever actually talking about this book. I must have, just like in passing one time, because
Yeah,
otherwise I assume that you would all assume that I have all of Alexandra Bracken's books because I
I
talk
would have
about her all the time.
assumed. Yeah.
So yeah, I must have mentioned it in passing, or maybe I went on a rant about it and I just don't remember. Or maybe I talked about it on That Pretentious Book Club. I don't know. But now I have every book that she has published except for the most recent one. So that's
Oh
really
my
cool.
gosh, I'm so happy
And
for you.
I
What a
just, I know. So then so I opened this and I like gasped again and kind of squealed and I'm like, of all the presents I could ever open with no one else around to take my picture and get the live reaction, it was this. So I'm never ever opening a present from Ash again by myself.
they're all going to be like huge letdowns from here on out.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna top it, but I didn't think anyone could top the D&D die and these like tie.
That's
So
so funny.
it was
I'm
amazing, and
so
I've been flying high
glad.
on that for a while.
So the book that I
Yeah.
used for the with the scraps or whatever to put in the dice,
Yeah.
I like picked them specifically, and then I specifically went through the
Mm.
book and found pages and words specifically. I don't know if you noticed. There were like dark, gruesome words
Yay!
in there, if you can still even read them.
I did kind of
But
notice.
yeah, they're a little dark and scary. It's
Yeah.
I had one because I hate like part of me hates the using books for crafts, but also like I like things that have book pages
Mm.
on them, so it's inevitable. I had two
Right.
copies of Dorian Gray. Two. So I used one of my like
Ah.
my little cheap dinky copy. And yeah,
Yes.
so that's what it's
Well,
from.
I love it. I'm super happy. And it's been this was a great Christmas for me. I got a lot of cool things.
Oh
Just
my
like random
gosh.
things from like people around me. So it was very cool. Um,
That's so good.
and I have still been listening to Epic, the soundtrack. No, Epic, the musical, the soundtrack. And I love it. And every time I'm kind of like, all right, I can take a break. I take a break for a day and then I come back and I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about this song. And then I'm obsessed with it again. And the other day I was making dinner and I was humming a song and my dad was like, what's that from? And I explained it to him for like the eighth time because he doesn't remember that this musical
Yeah.
exists, which makes me
Yeah.
feel like I haven't talked about it enough. But
I I don't
I
I'm just suspecting that's probably not the case. It's probably just a case
I
of
don't think
man
so either.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, still love it. Charybdis is the song that's in my head right now, if anyone wanted to know. And also, I started the new year by dyeing my hair. So that was cool. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's a
What?
little blonder than normal. Yeah.
Oh wow. I was
So
thinking it
it's
looks
like I
good.
did, yeah, I did like a full dye instead of just highlights, which is the first time I've ever done that. My
Oh
aunt
yeah.
helped me. She and my uncle came over for New Year's Eve and then they stayed over. And so like the next day I was like, "Hey, you're here. Do you want to help me dye my hair?" Because my aunt's like
Nice.
she used to like cut my hair when I was little. She wasn't like a professional hairstylist, but
Hmm.
like a hobbyist, I guess, is that
A
if that's what you would say.
hobbyist. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So she was like very professional about it and it was
Wow.
great.
Yeah,
So,
I've only ever seen highlights in your hair. I'm
yeah.
totally noticing now. Yeah, it's
Yep.
so pretty. And for
I
you guys who
know.
are
I
not
like it.
watching this on YouTube, she's wearing her reading glasses and her lipstick. So she's like
I'm
very,
all purple. I have a
yeah,
bunch of
and all
purple shades
purple.
on, but they're
Are
all
those,
different.
is that a
So
pajama top?
it
What are you
is.
wearing? It is. It's a purple, but
Yes.
it's like a nice collared fancy one.
Yes. I sometimes wear it in public with jeans. So
That's awesome.
yeah, this is actually the one when my cousin got married, her bachelorette party. These were like the pajamas we all wore, so we all
Oh,
matched.
that
She had
worked
white
out
and we had
perfectly for
purple.
you.
I
Yeah.
know. And she's like, I knew you would love the purple. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I know you didn't do it for me, but it feels like you did
But
it
it
for
feels
me.
like it
So
was, so thank you.
yeah. So I wear them a
That's
lot.
amazing.
But yeah. So my I've had a good Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year. I don't remember how long it's been since we've done an episode, but
I
that
feel
feels
like
like
it
it
I
catches you
feel
guys
like it
up.
has been. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Ash, how have you been?
I've been good. I'm trying to think if there's anything super notable from my holidays. They're good. It's so fun to watch, kids have Christmas. And
Mm-hmm.
boys, it's so loud though. So if you get like overstimulated, you're just gonna hit a point where you're like, one more sound and I throw myself out a window. But then the kid opens their next present and they're so happy. You're like, no, it's okay. I can handle this for like 5 more
I'm
minutes.
good.
And it just keeps happening. And it's great. So Riley loved Christmas. I also loved
Yeah.
Christmas. I Javi actually got me a set of pajamas for Christmas, like a
Mm,
little, they're Victoria's Secret, but it's just like they're just like a black top and bottom, like short set that's like the collared
mm.
shirt, like that. And
Yeah.
I remember saying, I just want like a silky pajama set. I just want like a collared shirt and shorts or pants. I don't know why. I just want like a matching set of pajamas because I sleep in like,
Yeah.
old t-shirts and
Yeah.
shorts and like paint stained clothing. Like it's not cute. Not that it has to be. Like the
Well, the
practical
older
side
I
of me is
get,
like,
the more I want actual pajamas. I used to be
it's
just like,
weird.
throw something together. And now I'm like, I
Yeah.
must match. I must look nice, which I'm not even married. So it's like, this is just for me.
Oh, let me
There's
be
no,
very clear. There is zero part of me that's like, I want to wear cute pajamas for my husband. I just, for
oh,
some
okay.
reason, it's something about like my self-worth. And I also used to never
Mm.
care at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I just feel like a queen if I'm wearing
Yep.
matching pajamas. I feel
Yep.
taken
Something
care
about it.
of. Yeah,
Like you
it's
get to your late
weird.
20s and you're like, all I want are matching pajamas.
Yeah, and
And
like new socks, I'll actually be psyched because I could use some new socks. Like,
mhm.
boy, we do age into being boring. Like I've always been boring, but like this is a new type. But I'm super
Yeah.
psyched. And like I'm also super jazzed because they just came out of the wash again, so I get to wear them later tonight. So I'm like, woohoo, wearing them
Woo!
constantly. Also, Hobby got me a really good book, but I'll save it for book recs. I got a bunch of
Ooh,
books
okay.
this year, and then one foolish friend of ours gave me an Amazon gift card. It was like $25, and he was like, "It's for books specifically." And I was like,
Oh.
"Duh, first of all, say less, obviously." And he was like,
Obviously.
"Yeah, maybe you can get like 2 books with it or something." I got 8 books with it,
Yeah.
friends.
Dang.
Buy
No.
used on Amazon, and you can get. I
Hmm.
got 8 books, and that was just
Woo.
from his gift. I also was given books, and then there were other books I was like, might as well. So I'm definitely like
I feel
up
that.
like
Accurate, fair, all of the above.
I feel like I'm up like 15 books, honestly, in like
Mhm.
a week and a half, which is
Woo.
insane. But I also like I've been like really resisting all year and just like reading through the things that I hadn't gotten to get to.
Right.
So it's been like a very literary and wonderful little period of time. And
Yeah.
Riley got to go to the park for the first time. So
Yeah, I
he
saw the
is
little videos. They're so
so
cute.
cute. Did you laugh hysterically when it was the slow-mo video of him face planting at the bottom of the slide?
It was great. You
It's
even
really good.
in the post you said go to the end to watch him face plant in slow motion. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, Javi will catch him. Totally
You
did.
did not. It was
Oh,
so funny. And
it
then,
was
of course, he
great.
was like totally ready to catch him in the next time. And I didn't post the next
Hmm.
video, but Riley was like, no, I got this. And he just like threw
Yeah.
his hands out and stopped himself because he's just a pro.
Nice.
But let me be also clarify for everybody. I'm not laughing at my child's pain. He was perfectly fine. We all thought
Yeah.
he would have cried, but he didn't. That's also why it's so funny. He he got to go down like the slides for the first time. He's been into climbing on everything, even though he
Yeah.
refuses to walk, even though he's totally capable of it. So he'll just climb on his little hands and knees up, and then he was
Yeah.
going down the slides and just having the absolute time of his life. Just best time
Yeah.
ever. Um, yeah, so we definitely need to take him to the park more. And on the same day, he got his first ever pet of his own, which is
Yay.
a betta fish that I take care of. Of
Yay. What's
course,
its
and a
name?
snail. The betta fish's name is Ignia, and which is a character from Fairy Tale and the 100-Year Quest and the
Oh.
anime. And the snail's name is Sid, like Sid the
That's
Sloth. We're just
what I was
mixing
gonna
and
say, like the sloth.
matching. Yes, like the sloth. Uh, so they're adorable and I love them. And just my son is obsessed with like aquatic creatures, particularly like fish and jellyfish. Like,
Geez, so weird. I wonder if like that came from somewhere in the family lineage or
I
like,
know,
I
right?
mean, not you and Javi for
It
sure. You
couldn't
guys don't love the ocean or
possibly
anything.
be like a surfer and a mermaid who had a child together. It can't
Yeah.
possibly be. I mean, I don't know why I'm so shocked. I just think in general, when you try and make your kid love something, I feel like it's almost a guarantee that they're not gonna love it. I
Mm,
just feel like that's inevitable as a parent. So like making his nursery like an ocean themed nursery, like that was for me, not for
right.
him. It's not like he was even like conscious of his surroundings until more recently. So
True.
I don't know. It's yeah, but he does. He loves jellyfish and he loves fish and he calls them blub blubs. Because
Oh,
he, as I was like, that's the
it's
sound
a
they make.
sound
They
they
say
make.
blub blub. And so he goes
Hmm.
blub 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 blub. And it's just
Aw.
he's so funny. He's like, I want the fish to be inside me. Like he wants to like
I want
touch
to
the
squeeze
fish
them.
so bad. Yeah.
He's like the kid in Finding Nemo that like shakes the bag or
Yo,
whatever it
he wants
is.
to so badly. We're
Yeah.
constantly like, do not shake the table. The fish is on.
Hmm.
So also this is why we were like, we're gonna get a betta fish. They're
Yeah.
incredibly hardy creatures. We are
Yeah.
trying to protect the fish from any unnecessary trauma, but also in the house that we live in, all bets are
Who
kind of
knows?
off. So, but Riley's pretty good because we teach him like we've been teaching him since he was like literally a newborn, like soft hands, be gentle. He just
Mm,
gets like out of control excited about fish.
yeah. As one does.
I guess as one does.
Mm.
We've taken him to the zoo and to see other animals that are not aquatic, and he's just not as interested. Like he kind of thinks birds are
All
cool,
right.
kind of. Um, we call them all not a chickens if they're not chickens since we have chickens and he's used to them. Like, and I think that's
Right.
the only reason. I think they're just like vaguely familiar to him. I think that's the only reason he's a little bit interested. Mostly like if it's not swimming in the water, he doesn't care. Or if it's a dolphin, he
Right.
decided he doesn't care about dolphins at all, which breaks my heart.
Weird.
But
Those were my favorite when I
I
was a kid.
know,
If I had to pick an
like,
aquatic animal.
right? Right? Yeah, I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm really hoping that he grows into that. But yeah, so that's my kid update, which is usually just my life update. But I love when he gets to like have his like little first moments and like they go
Yeah.
well, you know. And he's gonna
Hmm.
be what, 15 months in the next couple days? Yes, because he
Yeah.
has his 15-month checkup soon, which means I get to drive an hour away to have the doctor say, he's good. I'm gonna be like, thank you. Take my money for this. Awesome.
Your expert opinion that I didn't need to show up here is much appreciated.
Thank you for informing me there was no need for this.
Yeah.
But whatever, Riley will enjoy it because he'll get to see people and he's incredibly social. Definitely something he got from his father and not me.
Yeah.
Let me see if is there anything else interesting to share with people? Mm, I don't think so. I guess we might as well just get into book recs.
All right, cool. I have one. I'm so excited. I'm finally reading again. I know I said that before and then I totally flaked, but I actually think we're good. Um, because I read, let's see, I think 3 books within like the last 5 days of the year. So my reading count for last year was not awesome. It was 9. Uh, but I plan to get back to 100 this year, and my plan is just to read 9 books a month, which seems doable. Um, so anyway, so I read it's kind of I've never heard anyone talk about it, so I don't know how like out there it is. It's called Arch Conspirator by Veronica Roth.
No.
It's an Antigone retelling. So for you just
Oh.
like brief reminder, so Oedipus Rex, right, who's like the accidentally incestuous guy in Greek
Yeah.
history, his daughter, slash half sister. But she yeah,
Right, right,
so
right.
it's like basically the original Antigone is like her I can't remember who dies actually. Is it Oedipus? Because he doesn't kill himself. Yocasta kills herself. I actually haven't read it in a really long time, so I'm not 100% sure. But like her
Um,
parents are dead
I
and
believe Oedipus gouges out his eyes, and
right.
then yeah,
But
I think
then
the queen slash his wife mom
Yes.
kills herself.
Yes. So I can't remember how much longer Antigone is after that, but like one, I think it's when Oedipus has died of like, I don't know, natural causes, but he dies in dishonor because of everything that happened in Oedipus Rex. So she breaks the law to go like bury him properly and like basically gets screwed over herself because she does this for her father. Anyway, the book is a retelling. It's so interesting. It's so weird.
Huh.
Like it's only 110 pages, so it's super short, which makes sense
Ooh.
because Antigone is a short story or
Yeah.
not a, it's a play, but
Yeah.
um it's kind of futuristic but also like very historical. So it's kind of sci-fi,
Interesting.
but I wouldn't put it on my sci-fi shelf.
What was
And
it called again?
it Arch Conspirator,
I'm writing it down.
and it's so good. I really enjoy I read it and I was like, huh, interesting. And I can't stop thinking about it. That's how I
Interesting.
felt about If We Were Villains, where I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but then I was like, oh yeah, this is like good, but maybe forgettable. And then like 6 months later, I was like, all of my thoughts are about If We Were Villains. So
I'm still thinking about it to this
yeah,
day.
it
Yeah.
still haunts me. So that's what I feel like this one's gonna be. And it's
Yeah.
just so I don't know. Here's what I will say about it. Antigone is a tragedy, and so is Oedipus Rex. And you kind of, every time you get to a certain plot point in this book, you're like, all right, now we're getting somewhere like we can turn this around. And it doesn't. And
Oh,
I was just, the whole time I was like, this is it. This is where it's going to turn around and we're going to get a good ending. And then it would go a different direction. I'm like, okay, next time. And then it would come around again. I'm like, great, here we are. We have a plan. And then it's like, nope, he's dead. And then like,
nope.
it's so
He's
good.
dead.
But I still feel like even though I told you all this, if you read it, you would have more hope than you should and also not enough.
I hate
And
that.
it's such a good balance. I loved it. So it's
Oh,
weird,
so
but it's fun.
painful.
And it's only 110 pages, so like very worth the read. So I read it
Yeah.
in like 2 hours, I think. So probably an afternoon read for most people. So
Nice. Yeah, I just added it to the list that I have here of if you guys can see it. It's from our
mm,
Story Siren Studio Christmas party because we all gave book recs during that
yeah.
too. But I
Hmm.
have these all to add to my list. I did not actually get them. My book rec is it was not on my list. It was one that Javi got for me, and apparently he spent like at least an hour like walking around Barnes and
Searching.
Noble and like looking at different
Ooh,
books and trying to pick something that I would specifically like, which is very
cool.
sweet. And he nailed
Yes.
it. And when he told me that, I was like, "You're hyping it up a lot, dude." And I've
Mm.
read the first chapter and like I don't know yet, if I'm like really it's amazing and I loved it. It's called Powerless by Lauren Roberts.
Ooh, all right.
And
I haven't heard of it.
it's so good. It is enemies to lovers because we
Okay.
all know I love an enemies to lovers. But
Perfect. Good start hobby.
it's so interesting. And this is not a spoiler because it's like the whole premise of the book. But I have said for like the last few years that it a little bit bothers me how sometimes the protagonist in a book, like what makes them special, is some like supernatural ability, or really what makes them like the main character and the most valuable character is something that's outside of their control. Like I
Sure.
want to see some like a more like ordinary because then it's more relatable. Like I'm just an ordinary person. I don't have powers. And like I know it's
What?
harder to do. I know. At least not like that I talk
To
about
our
it
total
openly.
devastation, but anyway, moving
Yeah.
on.
It's true, exactly. I'm devastated to admit that I am almost 28 years old and still have not shown any signs of having superpowers.
Still don't have my Hogwarts letter, but eternally hopeful.
It's fine, eternally helpful. And that's where it's the fulfilling the dream. It's like the other side of the coin. Like when like somebody does have a power, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And there's tons of metaphor. And
Mhm.
like it's nothing against that. It's not that I don't like that. I just have been like, I really want to see a story where the main character is just like totally ordinary. And that is
Yeah.
this concept. And it's like in
Ah.
like the name of the book when you think about it, powerless.
Hmm.
Like she's powerless in her situation in life in multiple times. She is an ordinary. So people in this book have different powers. You'll totally like the magic structure in this, actually, now that I'm thinking
Yay.
about it. Like I think you'd really enjoy it a lot. Um, but she is not. She's an ordinary, and ordinaries are like outlawed. They were banished, and any ordinaries found in this
Ooh.
kingdom are executed if they're found. So she's been like pretending that she's
Ooh.
not an ordinary her whole life,
I didn't
but
know
she is. And she's like so badass. It's awesome. But and like totally believable. This is
that.
not actually, this is like in a way like a good but very tricky example. when we talk about the theme for today, which is about suspension of disbelief. Because at first, that was where my
Yes.
doubt was at first. I was like, as much as I've been wanting to see
Hmm.
this, how are we going to pull this off? Where a character with no
Hmm.
supernatural abilities, like in a believable way, is able to like stand up to and keep up with all of these people with supernatural
Hmm.
powers. Like, I just did
Right.
not see it.
Like,
But
how
the
does that
way that it
really
was
work?
done, exactly. The way it was done, excellent. I believe it. And it's sort of like the theme is so great about this young woman who is like powerless due to her circumstances, but she finds a way to sort of like take her own power back, but she still leans on others for help. And it doesn't make her any less
Hmm.
powerful that it's like with like collaboration that she's able to achieve things. And it's just very,
Right.
very cool. And it was so good. It was the first book in a
Cool.
while where I finished and immediately went to Amazon and ordered the second one. So
Nice.
that one will
Is
also
it
be
young adult or
arriving.
is it an adult?
I would say it's
New
young
adult?
adult.
Okay.
I think it's young adult. Yeah. It's like it
Okay.
might be like more on like the edge of turning new adult, but I would still say young adult. But
All right, cool.
excellent book, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Loved it so much. But then also I stopped reading it. Like I finished it and I was like, Javi, why aren't you this romantic? And he was like, what? And I was like, it's just that the stuff that Kai says to Peyton. And he's like, what are you talking about? So
Like, come on. I'm being very clear.
I'm like, you're the one who got me this book.
Yeah.
Like, what did you
You
expect
got to
from
meet the
me?
expectations that it
Yeah,
creates.
exactly. Exactly. So it was good. It was good. It was enjoyable. The ending had all the twists. Not all of them completely unpredictable, but very satisfying nevertheless. And my heart was broken. I had like major anxiety
Cool.
also. I don't usually have anxiety even at the end of like a
Oh
book with like a
no.
cliffhanger. I was just like anxious for hours.
Yeah.
So if I think about it too much, I'm still anxious. So I'm gonna stop now. But anyways,
Yeah.
highly recommend. And also I think that was the first book rec I've given in who knows how long that was not just a book we were reading over on our sister podcast, TPPC.
Yeah.
So
An impromptu book, an
yeah, it was an and it
impulsive
was a
book.
thick book too. I was like, how am I
Mm.
going to read this in 3 days? And then I did. It was amazing. So
It just needs to be really good. Then you can read it in
yeah,
whatever small time
like
frame you
I'll
have.
make the time
Yeah.
for Kai and Peyton. I'll make the
Aw,
time.
I love
Yeah,
it.
very cool.
Cool.
Anyways, what about our word of the week?
Yes, our word of the week. I don't actually, now that I think about it, this might have been a bad word to start off the new year, but we're gonna do it anyway. Zemblanity. 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 The opposite of serendipity. The inexorable discovery of bad things, making unhappy, unlucky discoveries, or an unpleasant surprise.
Is this because of Antigone?
You look so sad.
Yeah,
You know, it might have been. Now that I
it
think about
sounds
it, now that
like
you
it.
put that together, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, unpleasant surprise. That is
Yeah,
definitely, yeah, that's the ending.
yeah, there you
Anyway,
go. And a
but
very
yeah,
unhappy
Zemblanity.
new year to everyone.
Yes, welcome back.
Zemblanity. We wish you New Year's full of serendipity, not
Yes.
zemblanimous years and months of your life. We
Yes,
want them to be the least zemblanimous possible. You're welcome.
correct. Starting off this
Correct.
new year, well, uh,
Zemblanity. It's
Zemblanity.
insanity. Zemblanity is insanity. It's actually
I
not.
bet it
It's
would go great in songs. It
probably.
probably rhymes with a lot. So that's fun.
Oddly, it doesn't rhyme with serendipity though, and I feel like it
Right?
should. I don't know why. It's not like antonyms have to rhyme. It just feels like those are such like unique words. Both very musical words.
Exactly. You could
Serendipity,
use both of them in the same
zemblanity.
song.
Yeah, you absolutely could.
All right,
Interesting.
someone get
All
on
right,
that.
snap to it. Yep, snap to it, listeners.
One of you write us a song.
Let's go.
Yep. Catherine gives great gifts. Someone out there has got to be able to write songs. So
Yep, come on. We all have our skills.
we'll
You
we'll
know what?
make our own
This
functioning
is
society.
yep. This is totally like sidetracking before we get into the theme, but I one of the books that I forgot to count in my list of books I ordered is a handwriting practice book for adults because I am, again, almost 28, and my handwriting is just so bad. And
Is
like I
it?
didn't even it's always been bad, but I've been like it doesn't matter. I can read it, you know? And I
Hmm.
usually write cursive, so then my print is extra bad because my cursive is probably a little bit better than my print, but also my cursive's not that great either because no one has to read it except for me. And lately, it's
Yeah.
just been bothering me how bad my handwriting is because I don't know why I'm suddenly self-conscious about it. It took me this long to care. And
Uh-huh.
so I was like, but it can't be that bad. I'm just gonna like refine it, you know, just like make it a little
Hmm.
nicer.
Just tweak it. Yeah.
I'm doing this stupid handwriting book. It's what I was doing, but like before I put Riley to bed tonight. And I'll have to send you a picture. Like every letter that I write is a different size in the line. Like I'm trying to copy an uppercase A in print, and they all look completely different. Like,
Nice.
what is wrong with me?
So you're just shielding yourself from the criminal analysts who look into handwriting. That's really all you're doing.
I guess so. They're gonna be like, no, it's because it's
You
still
can write
gonna
your
give
own
me away.
ransom note.
Yeah, I
You
could.
don't you don't have to clip out newspapers.
They're gonna be like,
So
we've never seen such elevated and clearly like from an educated person language, such complex words written in the handwriting
mm.
of a toddler.
You're like, this person must have multiple personalities. She's changing from moment to moment as her
Yeah,
her A's change.
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely humiliating. And I don't know where I went wrong. And I don't know why it's so hard to get back on track. And I wish I
Oh
could
my
say like
gosh.
it was just the one letter. I
Like,
got
I'm
halfway
just really
through
bad at
like,
F's or something.
yeah. Yeah, I got halfway through the letter E and I was like, I give up. This is very discouraging. I'm gonna have to come back to this. I'm feeling real bad about
Oh.
myself. Like it's bad.
Well, your self-worth is purely based on your ability to have good penmanship. So that totally
Exactly.
makes sense. I mean,
Exactly.
your
I
value dropped
know.
like by 10 now that you've told
I
me this.
know. I
So
cannot believe that Javi like didn't immediately ask for divorce.
mhm.
Like I'm
He's
not gonna
totally
show him the
justified.
handwriting book
Yeah,
because
don't
I
let him
mean,
know.
I know he can't know how bad it is because like you look
Yep.
at it on paper and you're like it's bad and then you see it like in the handwriting book where I'm trying to like just trace lines and you're like what is wrong with this person?
That's adultery and bad handwriting. Those are the justifiable reasons for divorce. So,
Yes,
I wouldn't let
obviously.
him know.
Nope. I'm definitely going to keep that one locked and tight. I'm going to fix it.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
Anyways, that's my little just random. I thought you writers out there might appreciate this. Any other writers who are also bad at writing with your hand? Sure would love to hear from you. Or am I all alone out here and you all have beautiful handwriting? I feel like it's
it
probably
is
more likely the
funny.
latter.
When I go to Bible study, I like handwrite the notes and everything. And
Hmm.
the other girls are always like, "Oh my gosh, you have beautiful handwriting." I'm like, it's because it's cursive and everything looks cool in cursive. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I've
not
gotten that a couple
good, it's
times
just
about my
cursive.
cursive. Yeah, that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, I've gotten that a couple times. I know my cursive's not good,
Hmm.
but people are like, "Ooh, pretty," and I'm like, yeah, "But you can't. It's because you can't read it, no matter what, though."
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yeah,
But it
it's
works.
funny.
So,
Although your handwriting is objectively much better than mine. I don't
thank
even know
you.
if that's a compliment. It's just
It's
true.
just it's just a bare minimum kind of
It's
statement.
just, yeah,
You're welcome.
so weird, man. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like spatial reasoning is just like not there. So weird. Like that writing
Uh,
happy birthday on like a card every
right, and
time.
then
I know
at the
that,
end,
yeah.
DAY.
I know that like yes, we all do this to an extent, you know, like it's sort of a
Mhm.
universal experience, but like I cannot get it. Even when I'm like consciously thinking about it, consciously planning. Like, I cannot get it, man. All right, it's fine. I'll cry about it later tonight. Do you want to get into the theme for this episode?
Yeah, the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about suspension of disbelief. Woo! And how to create it and how not to create it.
I can't
So,
believe we're talking about this. My belief is so
no,
suspended about this.
no, you guys have to suspend your belief as we do this because it is
Yeah,
truly unbelievable
truly
how good
unbelievable.
this episode is going to be.
But
So,
not Zemblanimous.
right.
Zemblanimous. It's fine. It's
No
fine.
Zemblanity here.
No, there we go. She's like, I what if I just used it correctly, Ash? I
Usually the easiest
actually,
way to go about this.
yeah, the part of me that's like writing letters backwards, like the opposite direction that it recommends, and I'm like, why isn't this working?
Oh my gosh. You can like teach Riley and then he'll be better at it than you in like 2 months.
Inevitably. I could teach him right now. He can't walk yet, but I bet you his handwriting would be better. Um, yeah, I'm never gonna let this go. Anyways, I realized I think that we've done a different episode on suspension of disbelief. However, it's something
Have
I
we?
think about a lot. I think we have,
Oh,
but I think about it a
oh,
lot, so I think it definitely
yeah.
there's
I mean, I don't
definitely more to talk
remember
about.
what we said, so I
I
guess
don't
you guys
either.
can go and compare notes and maybe we've totally changed our minds like
Wouldn't that be
hypocrites, or
funny
maybe
if
we'll
we
be
just
on
like
point.
completely contradicted ourselves? Or if we just
Like,
said
here's how
word
you
for
do
word?
this. It's got to be one of the two, because I don't feel like I'm a change halfway kind of person.
Yeah, you're like only the extremes.
Yeah, pretty much. I would, so when I dyed my hair, I looked in the mirror, I'm like, this looks totally different. This is exactly the kind of thing I would do because I'm either going to go for something totally different or bare minimum change. I do not go
Hmm.
halfway on anything.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I'm trying to
anyway,
like think like all
can
I
you
can think
believe
about
it?
my handwriting. All I can think about is my handwriting and I'm like it's not. Maybe I think what I did
It's
was
just
it
the
was in
ghost
the
haunting
middle.
you.
It is, but I think like when I learn stuff sometimes I'm like, good enough. Like that was like, sort of like my mantra. I
I
got
can
through
function with
life very
this.
well. I excel. Like I have been an
Mhm.
overachiever comparatively, but I don't have the
Right.
personality of an overachiever. I have a that'll do.
Yeah. See, I have an overachieve at all costs or don't care at all. That's what
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
I just
So,
want to like m mid-level achievement, you know?
mm, sure.
It's all
Yeah.
it's yeah. Anyways, shown by my handwriting.
Okay.
But yeah, so suspending disbelief. What made you today suggest this topic? I'm always curious.
Okay, so like I said, I was reading some other books and I was reading the series. It was good. I'm debating if I should tell you guys what it is because I might talk more badly about it than it probably deserves. But it was a trilogy and it was fun, but there were some things that just like really like impeded my suspension of disbelief. So I was like, we should talk about this. How to avoid this pitfall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what inspired me. But
Nice.
yeah, what I it, it was my idea. Nothing inspired you.
What
Um,
inspired me to agree to you?
yes.
Well,
Was it
Catherine
just
frightens
the
me.
most
That's what
brilliant
inspired
idea?
me.
Or that. It's either that or the most brilliant idea you've ever heard,
Exactly. Fear or
obviously.
respect. One or both, you know?
Yes.
It was both.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Correct answer.
Okay, good.
You may live. Um, so yeah, suspension of disbelief. Because I feel like we talk, well, English teachers and you know, agents and everything, people talk a lot about suspension of disbelief, but I think the specifics are usually not talked about because it's somewhat of like a gut instinct sort of skill as opposed to like a handwriting skill where you can like get it concretely right.
You're like, where you
So I
can
guess I just
learn
want
it,
to talk about
Ash,
like
figure it out.
yeah, where it's like, this is difficult, unlike things like, good penmanship. But so yeah, I just want to talk about like specifics that might help. Especially in genres that are more difficult with suspension of disbelief, like fantasy or dystopian or sci-fi, because,
Hmm.
contemporary books and historical books even are a little easier, or at least they have a different like way about them, I guess. Like
Hmm.
historical suspension of disbelief is different than like futuristic sci-fi suspension of
It is
disbelief.
very different. Yeah.
So yeah. So it's kind of just knowing your genre and knowing what you kind of have to guess what other people are going to be annoyed by or
That is,
like
it is largely what it
taken
is.
out the
Yeah.
story by.
Yeah. I think
Because
that's where like,
I think
I'll go for it.
no, go ahead. No, you go.
Okay. That's where I think reading in your genre a lot, especially if you write something like fantasy or science fiction that
Mm.
has like a higher bar for suspension of disbelief, like reading a lot is like a good way to build that sense in yourself of like, okay, like I'm starting to see like this is what was believable to me, this is what wasn't, and you like sort of like naturally build
Hmm.
like your little like your sensor, your your BS sensor. You're like, would this is the
Yeah,
I do I even believe that?
right.
Like, I think that's honestly like your number
Exactly.
one like superpower is if you just read a lot of them, you will naturally
Hmm.
sense it. And then the other one that just immediately comes
Yes.
to mind for me is like consistency. Like, even if you ask people to believe
Yes, that's what I
something,
wrote.
oh, really? Oh, then I'll let you go into it.
I said the important idea is consistency. No, 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 say it, and then I'll just go off later.
You're like, and then I'll make it better. Perfect. I love it when we do this.
And then yeah,
Okay,
I'll expand.
perfect. Yeah. So, consistency. So, even if you're asking your readers to believe something totally crazy, even if you're asking them to believe something that's a little farther outside the normal requirement for suspension of disbelief that a book in the genre would, you can, but then be consistent about it. And also, if you're going to like sort of push the bounds of suspension of disbelief, I would say start earlier in the book and then be consistent from there.
Hmm.
Like, don't just be like, pretty
Yeah.
like normal magic use or normal like sci-fi technology, whatever. We're all kind of believing it. It makes sense just based on, the suspension of disbelief most of us enter into one of those books with, and then throw in something that you're like, this
Right.
is crazy for the genre, or like, this just seems really
Yeah.
unrealistic. It's not something I've seen before. It just feels like it's on a different level. Like either start at that level
Hmm.
or just maintain the level that you started at, if that makes sense. I don't know if there's a way to
Yes.
like
I agree.
quantify the level either. Like knowing the level might also be like a sense that you
Mm.
have to build. But if someone has told you
Yeah.
something in your book is hard to believe, I would say either get rid of it or move it to the beginning. So, and then also
Yeah.
make other
Talk about
things
it earlier.
equally that level, you know?
Yeah. Don't just have one crazy thing, you need to have multiple crazy things
Yeah,
so that it all kind
exactly.
of fits together. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, I think too, also like with reading in your genre a lot, I think sometimes, and I don't necessarily know how to quantify this, but the type of person who's going to read a certain genre is going to probably have kind of like all fantasy readers are probably going to have really similar pet peeves or like really similar things that bug them or things that they really like. So something that might really bother, a historical fiction reader is not necessarily going to bother a fantasy reader.
Yeah.
So like reading a lot kind of just gives you almost like a trained sense of what to avoid because you're not going to see it anywhere. Or when you
Yeah.
do see it, you're going to notice that people you're talking to are really annoyed by it. Um, and like you said, like giving people good expectations in the beginning. Like people are going to have more suspension of disbelief for a fantasy book right off the bat than for like a contemporary book. Contemporary is going to be like, takes place in the real world. Even like I think this is why magical realism is so hard to pull off sometimes because it starts contemporary and it's so
Yeah.
contemporary in so many ways. And then you're asking us to believe in like one tiny little thing of magic, which is usually very difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Um, and as you were talking, have you ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn?
I have not.
Which is it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. Okay, so I you would not expect me to have seen this movie, but my dad really likes Quentin Tarantino, so I've watched it. And I'm gonna spoil this movie. So if you guys don't want to know and you want to watch it, tune out, except for Ash doesn't have a choice because she has to listen
Yeah.
to me.
I signed up for
Um,
this.
so this yeah, this whole movie starts out like I think it's the first 45 minutes to an hour of this like 2 hour movie is this like kidnapping and hostage situation story. And it seems very like normal. It has George Clooney. It's got like, kind of famous actors. And it just seems like this person's been taken hostage. And well, so this guy and the brother kill this lady and then they take this family hostage and they're going to Mexico to run from the police, right? And so they pull over to this tavern. It's like 45 minutes into the movie and suddenly vampires and the place is just like overrun with vampires. So you think it's this whole like hostage kidnapping movie, and it's actually a vampire movie, and you don't realize this
Whoa.
till partway through. And I think the only I don't tend to like Quentin Tarantino movies, but I like this one because I actually like that it took so long to get there that it like totally throws your suspension of disbelief. But I think there are two reasons it really works, and one is because it's Quentin Tarantino, and people were kind of like people are used to him. I don't think it was his first movie. People are kind of used to him doing weird stuff. So again, that suspension of disbelief is just really high.
Yeah.
Um, and also because vampires are very like normal. Like we all know what to expect out of vampires. They're very normal vampires. It's not like the Stephanie Meyer vampires. They don't have like special abilities. They're just like they want to drink your blood. So,
Yeah.
they have all the normal things. They turn into bats. They can't go out in the sunlight. That's why it's from dusk till dawn. They have to survive till dawn. And like
Ah, okay.
it's just like a very normal vampire movie. It just like takes on that different edge because it comes partway through. So I do
Interesting.
think most of the time consistency is really important to do
Mhm.
early on to like set that tone. But I think sometimes like your work as an author affects that. So like sometimes you want to start out on the right tone, even just with your body of work, because then that helps readers understand what to expect from you in the future.
Yeah.
And also that if you're going to pull something crazy like that, it should be something that people have a lot of inherent assumptions you're going to follow. Like the
Yeah.
vampires aren't weird, right? There's no like plot twist in the world building of the vampires. It's just the plot
There's
twist that they
one
exist
plot
and they're there.
twist.
Yes, it's a major and it's great,
Yeah.
but it's not like um I don't know. Just like it's not that the ending is not a plot twist. The plot twist comes in the middle. So I don't know. I think that's maybe like the exception that proves the rule to
Yeah.
think through where suspension of disbelief is going to come into play.
Well, I think it's like what we always say, like just know what the rules are before you break them. Like no, the
Hmm.
rule is consistency. The rule is know your genre and know what your readers are likely to accept or not. And if you know the rule and
Yeah.
you understand why the rule exists, and then if you want to break it and you feel like you're still sort of meeting the conditions of it, like go for it. That's great. I love when people can break
Yep.
the rules and they do it well. It's just that it's so hard to do that unless you are like
Hmm.
Tarantino, sure that you can do it. Like
Yeah. And
maybe don't.
yeah. And another great thing about it is like, and this is something that I actually think affects suspension of disbelief in general. So we'll kind of branch off from here. But when like the vampires reveal themselves, they have like this break, and so like all the survivors are getting together, and they're like, okay, we're just not gonna have the conversation about whether or not vampires exist. We all saw what just happened. Like this is happening. You need to get on board or get out.
Hmm.
And if like let's talk about what we know about vampires. Takes to the heart, holy water. One of them's a priest, so they're like, hey, bless everything in here, and we'll see if it helps.
Yeah.
And like it just immediate like the characters are in, and I feel like
Yep.
sometimes to create suspension of disbelief authors have this tendency to make the characters, or the point of view character at least, really resistant to believing what's going on because they're
Yep.
trying to create like the mindset. Like it would be normal to see like a vampire attack and be like, oh no, that's not happening, right? I think it's called
That
normalcy
cannot be what I
bias.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that's you are not going to assume that
AKA
things are
the
operating
mist
outside your
in
normal.
Percy Jackson.
Yes,
That's what I've always seen
exactly.
it
You're just not
as.
expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the world works a certain way in your mind, and if something disproves that, you're just not going to contend with it. But I think in books, sometimes you have to make your main character or your point of view character get there a lot faster because
Yeah.
otherwise you start poking plot holes in your own plot. And then the
Yes.
reader sees that and they're like, "Wait, that is actually kind of a good point. Like, maybe
Yes.
that isn't real. Maybe that
It's
doesn't
so
fit." So you don't want
true.
to poke your own plot holes.
Yeah, that's exactly, you are literally in much better words making the point that I wanted to bring up next. Like that's exactly
Mm,
what it is. I think that it's because we think we can convince the reader that they should believe this, that it is
hmm.
believable enough. But almost
Right,
anytime you have to convince someone of something, it's because they disagree, right, to begin with.
right. You're
So
assuming you're on opposite sides.
you're assuming you're on opposite sides, and your reader
Hmm.
is going to realize, because once again, respect your readers. Readers are not stupid. I think the best way
Right.
to sell something is for all of the characters in the book to believe it or to have very, very
Hmm.
little trouble believing it. Like suspension
Yep.
of disbelief is not something you have to convince the characters of. You don't have to convince the characters to suspend their disbelief. That
Right. They're
is a
in it.
recipe. They're already in it. That is a
Yeah.
recipe for your readers being like, well, if they don't believe it, I definitely
Hmm.
don't believe it. And yeah,
Right.
it's like same as when we're like, if you have like a message like don't preach it at your
Hmm.
reader because that's going to make them automatically like resist and roll their eyes. It's the same
Yep.
like with the trying to have a character justify to another character that this stuff is true. Like they shouldn't have to prove that that
Hmm.
unbelievable thing that just happened. Like they just
Yeah.
need to move on with it. Even if your main character is supposed to be someone who's like from out of the world or
Hmm.
out of a circumstance where they would naturally believe those things. Like just let them get swept away. It's also great for
Yeah.
pacing. Don't
Hmm.
slow down the pacing so you can sit there and
Yeah.
try and convince this character, aka also the reader, that this stuff is actually real. Like just sweep them along with it and they will accept it because there's no other choice. Same with the reader.
Yeah. And I think that's why I tend to think that like urban fantasy is one of the hardest genres to pull off because you usually have like a normal everyday character
Yep.
kind of swept up in a fantasy world they didn't know about. Think like Mortal
Hmm.
Instruments series or even Percy Jackson. Like you don't know magic exists and then boom, suddenly it does. And that transition is really hard to nail. I do think it could be done. I think both of those books do it really well. And a lot of times it's usually done with some kind of attack because if your life is in danger, you just have to accept that it's happening and
Yeah,
deal
you
with it
just
later.
act, don't think
So,
about it. Yeah.
yeah, I actually think that's a good strategy for urban fantasy, but
Yeah,
I
I
do think
agree.
that that's why high fantasy is a little easier. Like when The Hobbit starts, or why can't I think of any other high fantasy books? Anyway, like when the Hobbit opens, it's just like, hobbits exist. And the reader's like, cool, I'm on board, let's go. And as long as you keep that like Hobbit culture and the
Hmm.
Hobbit characters and everything that's going on, the pacing, the tone, consistent, people will believe it, even though hobbits don't exist.
Yeah. Or like
Like
in every
no one
like
like sits and
sci
questions it.
yeah. Or like any sci-fi movie with an alien in it ever, when the
Yeah.
alien like bursts out of something and is attacking, no one's like, but aliens don't exist.
Right.
Like,
That's not
zero,
real. It's
zero.
like, gotta get on this now. You're gonna die.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yep. So I think that's important. Let's see, where do I want to start with my notes? I have some kind of little things that I think influences. Okay. Tone is kind of something we were already talking about, so let's talk about tone. I think sometimes, especially when it comes to balancing humor, it's really difficult to suspend disbelief because like this is something that happened a lot in the book series I was reading where things are getting really serious and there's like a really childish sense of humor coming up, like
Hmm.
making up words or using weird nicknames or
Oh
just
yeah, I
like
know what you're talking about.
you know, yeah, just kind of like silly stuff that like belongs in a children's book almost. And it feels
Hmm.
like, you're trying to break the tension with like this opposite sense of humor. But when we're talking about consistency, whatever your general tone is, if it's really dark, if it's really tragic, if it's generally lighthearted, any humor that you use to offset like grief or sadness or intensity should kind of match that. And
Yeah.
because I think if you're trying to make this point that, especially towards the end of a series or something like where a battle is coming up, if people start getting silly, it makes me feel like there's not a lot at stake.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that I don't believe the world anymore, it's that I don't believe that I need to care about it. And I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Because, okay, like a lot of this comes down to like, you want to immerse the readers in the world, right? They need to be
Yeah.
so swept up in it that they're not even really thinking about whether they believe it or not. It's just happening.
Yeah.
And if you can't create that, if you break that immersion, that's when the suspension of disbelief goes away. So that's what I wouldn't want to do. And then I also, I uh, I created a new literary device, or I named it, but it's like a negative
Heck
one.
yeah.
So, you know what illusions are, right? ALLUSIONS, which is like a
Hmm.
reference to something like you
Bragging
allude
again
to.
about what a good speller she is. Yes. I'm
Woo,
just
and I
kidding.
can handwrite it perfectly. Um,
Wow.
anyway,
Oh, right in the heart.
low blow. So I came up with malillusions, which is when you use an
Ooh.
illusion that is out of place and you should not use it. And this, again, I think is really a problem in like urban fantasy. Um, I guess my like overall point is that I, as the reader, should not have to understand pop culture in order to understand something you're trying to add to pop culture, right? Like when you write a book, you're trying to kind of put it out there into pop culture. You want people to read it
Yeah.
and like it. You shouldn't be referencing other pop culture things. Now there are times when that works, if it's kind of a quirky story. I think it works a lot better in contemporary because obviously like normal people talk about movies and books and TV shows and all that kind of stuff, musicians. But when you talk about it too much, like if you're just mentioning Spider-Man in like an urban fantasy book, or if you bring in
Yeah.
like a famous singer or some TV show, for me, I feel like that just gets me thinking about Spider-Man or the musician or the TV show. And now I'm not
Yeah.
paying attention to what's going on in the book. So I think, again, I think that's a tone issue where because I think I don't know that I do this a lot, but a lot of people just kind of think in terms of pop culture. Like that's the reference you have to
Yeah.
engage with other people on. And so you think, I should use this colloquialism or I should use this example, like,
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of things use the Spider-Man quote, which I don't even think is originally from Spider-Man, but it's like, with great power comes great responsibility or
Yeah.
whatever. And then someone would be like, oh, that's so wise. And they'll be like, yeah, it's from Spider-Man. I'm like, no, you ruined it. Now it's not like exciting or deep or important anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's just you like showing off that you like Spider-Man, which is kind of annoying. And
Yeah, it does. It
and
changes the tone completely.
yeah,
I'm not to say like it cheapens the tone because that's unnecessarily negative, but I
right.
do think it has that effect somewhat.
I think it puts the reader in a mindset where the events of the book are happening in their world. And they're
Yeah.
like, but that doesn't exist. And it just breaks that
Hmm.
suspension of disbelief too much. And because I really don't see authors doing this in high fantasy because theoretically in high fantasy something like Spider-Man doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So you're not referencing it.
Yep.
Occasionally I see it in like portal fantasy or sci-fi. But like really you only see it, I think, done well in like contemporary or books like that because it makes it puts the reader back in the real world. And if the story takes place in the real world, great. But if the story takes place in, a fantasy version of the world or a sci-fi version of the world, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, I think the example I kind of came up for this. Did you ever read A Thousand Pieces of You by
No.
Claudia Gray, I believe?
No.
Okay, so I love this trilogy. It's like a sci-fi-ish, it's like an alternate universe theme trilogy.
Ooh.
Very good. I would highly recommend it. It's so fun. And I'm going to spoil it a little bit, but not like in an enormous way. So the main character, basically her parents invent this technology that allows you to jump into your own self in other alternate universes. So she's
Whoa.
doing that to like try to find this person she's hunting down. And she gets to this other universe and it's very normal. It's very similar to ours. And she makes this comment. I might get the exact reference wrong, but she says something about how there's a Beatles song playing, the We All Live in a Yellow Submarine, right?
Hmm.
She makes the comment, that's so weird. It's the purple submarine. And you realize she is not from our universe. She is herself from an alternate universe. And so it's this
Right.
really cool, like, little piece of it's like an
Interesting.
Easter egg. Like if you're not really paying
Hmm.
attention or you don't really know the Beatles song, it's not gonna like shake your understanding of the book. But
Yeah.
I just remember like reading that and being like, oh crap, she's not our universe. Like that's why the technology exists. She's not from our universe.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool moment. So like I think in times like that, when you like carefully place those references or if there's a reason, they can be really cool. Because like
Yeah.
and the Beatles are they're not like modern. They're not necessarily historical, but they're not modern. Like most people
Yeah.
know the Beatles. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not super American. It's not super 2000s. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of timeless at this point. So
Yeah.
I think that's
I
also
think,
why it
yeah,
works.
timeless is
But it's
safer. If you're
just
going for anything where
yes.
like stuff is still happening now, I
Hmm.
I would say we have not we've not reached timeless. It might
Yeah,
feel
like if
timeless to us now, but watch it not be in
mhm,
10 years and it's totally dated.
right. Yes. Yeah, and I think that's really the issue is you don't want to date your book. There are times when dating it is good, like if it takes place in a very specific time in history, or if you are trying to make some kind of like alternate universe point. I can't really think of another example. That's just kind of the best example I can come up with. But if there's some reason that that illusion is pointing out something that gives the book more depth, I think that's good, even if it's like small or, even if not everyone's going to get the reference.
Yeah.
But you should, yeah, I think if the person or the thing is still ongoing, like you shouldn't reference Marvel if Marvel is still releasing movies and comics and stuff. You shouldn't reference Taylor Swift until she's dead. And I'm not saying she's going to die. I'm just saying, like, if she's still
The
alive, it's just
FBI is
weird.
coming for you, Catherine.
I mean her no harm. I just,
I mean her
it's
no
like,
harm.
she's just still alive and she shouldn't be mentioned in like pop culture books or she shouldn't be mentioned in normal books unless
Yep.
it's very specific to pop culture. Like I'm not going to remember any of the titles because I don't really read contemporary, but like books that are kind of dealing with that fantasy of like meeting a pop star and falling in
Yeah.
love or
And even
like,
then it
going
should
to a
be
concert.
specifically pop culture in 2024.
Yes.
Like,
And you do all the slang is the same. You date the book in a way that creates nostalgia rather than like makes it irrelevant a couple years
yeah.
from now.
Like Catcher in the Rye, I feel is incredibly dated. But it's
Mhm.
okay. We all know that it's dated. We know when we read Catcher in the Rye, all of the slang is going to be dated.
Right.
Like basically everywhere he goes, everything he does, everything he eats or drinks is like dated. But it's
Yep.
okay because we know it.
Yeah.
It'd be very different to like read it and then there's things that are just like misplaced or there's just like
Out of
one
place.
reference
Yeah,
to
because
Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
it's that consistency thing again, where like if you have a really good sense of the time and place where the story is set, you can pull that off. But if it's going to be, just like here's a bunch of references to things that I, as the author, really like. Some are from the 50s, and some are movies, and some are books, and
Yeah.
some are like, made up things. Like now it just feels inconsistent, and that's really going to take people out of it. And even, maybe you reference one thing and that just becomes like a running joke. Okay, like maybe that
Yeah.
could work. I don't know that I can think of an example where I've seen that, but maybe that could work. But when you're bringing up all kinds of things from all different areas of pop culture, it now like I think for me, it just makes me realize that what I'm reading isn't as good as those things.
I know.
And
Yeah.
then it just like creates this comparison that you don't want. Because
Yeah.
even if your book is really good, you still don't want it to be compared to Harry Potter. Even if you don't like Harry Potter, you don't
Yeah.
want it to be compared to Lord of the Rings. You don't want it to be compared to anything like that because you want it
Yeah.
to be itself.
Exactly. I that
Yeah.
that makes me think of another thing that I think makes suspension of dis it harms suspension of disbelief in fantasy and sci-fi, where you take like normal everyday things that we experience and you sort of just try to put like a you just sort of try to wrap it in fantasy or in sci-fi. So
Mm,
like I've seen, especially with newer writers, I've seen it. Like I read this, it was a book by an independent author, and I'm not going to say what it was because zero shade to her. The rest of her story, like, in many ways, was great.
right.
But like there was this one thing that was like it's clearly supposed to be like a fantasy version of an alarm clock. Immediately took me out of the story because I'm
Uh,
like,
mhm.
first of all, why do they need alarm clocks? Whatever. You know, like in the past in fantasy or what in the past in fantasy, whereas typically it's like a rooster crows, whatever. Also, how important is
Yeah.
it that we need to see them and what wakes them up? And does it have to be the same thing
Right.
every day? Like, how necessary is it to include something like that? Because people will recognize if you're trying to
Mhm.
include an element that's normal in their daily life, they'll recognize it if you're trying to implant it into a fantasy world or a
Right.
sci-fi world. And if you're like, I've got a really cool idea, I think this is how it's going to be, or this is how it would be, if it's still recognizable as that thing that you sort of wrapped it in, then I would say
Mhm.
cut it. I would say don't include it. Because every time I've
Well,
ever seen this done, it immediately like rips me out of the story.
yeah. And like in that example, it's just going to make you assume that they needed an alarm clock, but realized it didn't fit into their world building. And then they just like
Yeah,
made something up on the fly
that's what it feels
to like
like.
fix that plot hole, essentially. And
Exactly.
maybe that's not what happened. Maybe that was the original idea you had of a really
Yeah.
cool fantasy style alarm clock. But like, it either needs to be like super important to the plot in some way, or
Yeah.
I don't know that I would use it.
And
Yeah.
I will say, like, because again, it's sort of like consistency. And I guess when I think about it, like, there were other things that she had, like, that were a little bit like, it was very much like, I don't want to like give away like what the book is or anything, but it
Mm.
was consistent. There was the alarm clock wasn't the only thing that she had done this with. She did it throughout the book. So in
Yeah.
that sense, she was being consistent with it. It's still just it changes the tone completely and it makes it so much like harder to
Hmm.
buy. I think maybe if it was doing that and it was like a middle grade book and the
Yeah.
overall stakes were lower throughout the book, like you had sort of had to
Hmm.
like if you like re-leveled some things throughout the book, I think that it could have been
Right.
very different. But as it was supposed to
Yeah.
be like a young adult book, and the stakes were supposed to be like life or death. And I was like, this is not,
Right.
it's not matching up. So even though what she was
Yes.
doing, although it can be done, but is really challenging, and she was being consistent with that technique, it didn't fit with everything else that was going on. And it's already a technique that is
Hmm.
so hard to pull off. You're like, I know what an alarm clock looks like. Like, and it doesn't
Yeah.
belong there.
Exactly. It looks like it's out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if the tone of the book is more lighthearted, I think that could work. Like I was thinking, I haven't read them, but those like D&D books that have been coming out recently,
Yeah.
where it's a little more like adventure and it's just about like going on quests and stuff. Like you could do something like that in those books because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, here's an alarm clock that might, something a fantasy version of an alarm clock is going to be like an Easter egg to the reader. They're going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. And then especially if you have a lot of other things placed.
Hmm.
But if it is like the world is going to end if we don't do this, the alarm clock feels inconsistent with the tone. So like it might be
Yeah.
consistent in terms of the world building, but then the
Yeah.
world building isn't consistent with the stakes you're putting in. So it's like
Yep.
small picture consistency and big picture consistency are important.
Yeah, I agree
So,
completely. And also, remember, kids have a much stronger suspension of disbelief. So if you're writing a
yeah.
story and you think that it's it's young adult or even new adult, that would be difficult. But if you think that it's for like older readers and what you're getting is a lot of people having a hard time believing things, maybe what you have is a story. If those are things that you find you just can't change, they're just essential to the story, then maybe you need
Hmm.
to lower the stakes and sort of rewrite it for a younger audience because maybe it's a story for
Yeah.
middle grade readers. Like and there's nothing wrong with that. Like we need more good middle grade fiction. But the requirement for suspension of disbelief is so much lower. They've got such strong imaginations. Still consistency because like we want quality children's stories. Those are the people who are going to grow up and be the next
Hmm.
writers. So let's all do a good job. But
Right.
if you're just finding there's just too many things and you can't cut them all and you feel like it's just taking all the magic and fun out of the world, that you have to change all of these elements that you put into it, just change your audience. Yes, you have
Age
to
it
go through
down.
the whole
Yeah.
book and change it, but age the whole thing down then and lower the stakes.
Hmm.
Like you got to pick your darling. What do you want? Do you want the stakes or do you want the
Yeah.
cool magical elements that you're not willing to get rid of? Like you can't have it all for all audiences at all times.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like I admire the experimental nature that some writers have where they try to like put these things together. But I mean, sometimes you just have to recognize that either your age group or your genre doesn't allow for that thing to coexist. And that's
Yeah.
actually like it kind of sucks. And like maybe one day it would, but it just
Hmm.
you can't like leap across all of the literary evolution that would have to be done to make that make sense.
Yeah,
It's just not there
exactly.
at this
And again,
point.
if you know all the rules and you understand them really, really well, and you just know you can break the rules without sort of crossing those lines, then sure, give it a try. But don't be shocked then when your editor
Hmm.
or beta readers come back and they're like, I had a thing about this. Like, don't get attached to it. Give it a try if you're like
Yeah.
just so certain that you can. That'd be great if you can. Like,
Right.
like I said, I love when people break the rules and they do a great job.
Hmm.
The world might not be ready for that, even if you do. But that's okay. That's
Exactly.
just something that we all accept all the time. And I just wanted
Right.
to quickly mention on like magical realism, because you brought it up earlier. I think
Hmm.
that the main thing with magical realism and suspension of disbelief is, and this is, I think, where people go too far. If it's magical realism, the magical thing needs to be so subtle that it could almost be a coincidence. That like you're like,
Yeah.
is it magic or is it a coincidence? And so many
Yep.
things happen, so many little things happen that you go, it can't be a coincidence. Like there's just
Hmm.
no way. But then you look back and you go, I guess it could be a coincidence, but it's not. And
Hmm.
there's that little air of magic. So magical realism is just like, it's incredibly subtle. If you try and do anything over the top, you're gonna break the suspension of disbelief. It is so fragile, the magical
It
realism
is.
ecosystem.
So it's so thin. The line is so thin. I read
Yeah.
I believe it was A Constellation of Roses is the title, and I'm gonna forget the author. But I might be mixing up the book. I think it's A Constellation of Roses. Where the main character's aunt makes like pies, and the pies help you feel a certain emotion. So like you
Hmm.
eat the lemon pie when you want to be happy, or the blueberry pie when you're trying to get over a breakup, or like
Yeah.
etc. And it was a really cool way to like bring magic in without like know, you're not
Hmm.
really sure if the pies are magical. Like she
Yeah.
thinks it is, and everyone in the family seems to have like a coincidental magical ability. Like her
Yeah.
cousin always seems to know what she's thinking, but like, is she reading her mind, or is it just that she's a good like interpreter of social cues? And so like
Yes,
that's I
exactly.
think a good example of how to do that well
Yeah. It's just
because
like a
it's
cluster
subtle.
of coincidence, and they can be
Hmm.
unrelated coincidences. That's
Yeah.
I think her name is Sarah Addison Allen, I think is her name.
Hmm.
She's if I'm remembering her name correctly, a very good example of exactly the type of magical realism you're talking about. Alice
Hmm.
Hoffman, also very good at it.
Yes.
Although, what is it? Rules of Magic, or I think that's what it's called, was much more overt because it was like
Hmm.
built on the Practical Magic series. But
Right.
also Alice Hoffman is like I feel like as overt as you can go, which it is more of a fantasy, but it's like the lightest version. It's more magical
Hmm.
realism. And
Right.
then Sarah Addison Allen, and I hope I'm saying her name correctly. I could just Google it, but I'm not going to. Oh, it thinks I'm raising my hand.
I
Zoom
was
thinks
gonna
I'm
say, are
raising
you
my
raising your
hand.
hand to look up the name?
No, wow, that's weird. No, it's
To
telling
lean
me
on
to
the
lower my
keyboard?
hand. I did lower my hand. No, it's because it saw me. The AI in the
Oh,
computer. It saw
oh,
me
that's
raise my
crazy.
hand. This is
I
really
like that.
hard. This is
Keep
hard for an
talking.
Italian person. I'll sit on my hands. Yeah, anyway, so she's a good example. But yeah, it's something often
Mhm.
like that where like this one family, it just, there's all these coincidences. Like they make a candy and the candy is really popular and people just swear that it helps them get over a broken heart or something. And
Mhm.
there's a tree in the backyard that people say whisper secrets in your dreams. And you're like, all of these things could just be like not even folk stories. They're sort of like urban legends, but
Mhm.
just like
It could be real, they
like
might not be.
could be real. We all agree they're probably not, but they're nice stories. So we all keep circulating the rumors.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's usually that kind of thing.
Yep. I agree. Um, let's see what else. I guess kind of off the I guess it's sort of similar to the alarm clock thing. Um, like you want consistency in your chronology and like making sure that things aren't anachronistic, right? Which means that they're out of
Hmm.
place in time. Is it I might be totally getting this wrong. Is it like Gladiator where some random actor is wearing a wristwatch or something? There's some movie, like
Is
a
it?
medieval movie, and someone just like happened to be wearing a wristwatch. That's like an
That's hilarious.
anachronism. So like
Yeah.
I think, to do a quick Google search about when things were
Hmm.
invented and when they should be around. And I mean, you can kind of push the line, but I would give it a buffer of a couple decades if it's like
Yeah.
historical, especially if it's supposed to be like a popular item.
Yeah.
Like, fun fact, lighters were invented before matches. So
Really
I know. Isn't that cool?
interesting. I'm
Not
in
by much,
shock.
but I think it was like 5 to 10 years, but yeah. So that's just like a little thing that like if you start talking about matches being like this, super unique, newfangled way to make fire, people like who know better are gonna be like,
Hmm.
nah, lighters existed.
Yeah, that's Kendall with
So,
like all historical fashion. So if you're
uh-huh.
trying to like tie your fantasy to a specific era, like a specific time
Hmm.
period, know what you're doing because people will
Yeah.
catch you.
Yeah, and I think that's especially true in historical. I think sci-fi tends to have more suspension of disbelief, though I wonder if scientists have a really tough time reading sci-fi because there's
Right?
probably a lot of things that are like really stretching it.
Probably.
But I think sometimes authors have maybe this was I think I've said this before. Maybe this was our suspension of disbelief episode before, but I think authors assume that like they're writing for the average person, and like you are in a lot of ways, but you got to know that experts are going to be reading your book too, and
Yeah.
they should be able to be just as immersed as everyone else.
Yep.
There shouldn't be this like, that's not how that works,
Exactly.
to pull them out of
So
it.
either be 100% sure you're totally correct, or, and I think this makes sense in almost every scenario, don't go into the details. You don't have to
Yeah,
convince your readers. You don't have to
be
convince your
vague.
characters to believe. Be vague. And then even like
Yep.
if it's a, like total history nut or a scientist is reading your fantasy or your sci-fi and you've researched it, so you know in your head because we love doing the research and not writing it out. Just because you research it and you in your head think that you know it, that's great. You should absolutely do it. It'll totally show in your writing, but don't explain it because you might
Right.
explain it wrong unless you are like 1,000,000% sure. Because
Yep.
people will see it. There will be experts, they will see it. And also,
Yep.
even if it's true, you don't have to explain it. Just the act that you're explaining it makes it feel like it should be hard to believe. Like when
Yeah.
somebody's lying and they tell you, they give you just too many
All the
details.
details, and you're like, why do you even remember that part?
Yeah, you're like, I would just wanted to know, like, did you go to the store or not? And they're like,
Hmm.
well, first I was at the gas station, and that's when I was like, I'm actually kind of hungry. And then I remembered that like there was a shop, and you're like, this is a yes or no question, and I would
Yeah.
have believed you. But now I'm suspicious because you're going into too much
Mhm.
detail. So
Right.
same for characters and readers, but not to say don't do research, definitely do the research because it shows when you don't do the research. It just shows. But you don't have to
Right.
explain it. Like, and it's better, it helps you write to all readers of all understanding levels.
Hmm. Yeah, I think like in sci-fi, one of the things that makes it really makes or breaks it, and that I think is really common in the really good ones, is that if they're talking about like going into warp drive or they're talking about the spaceship, they don't give you like the mechanics. Like there is a mechanic and the mechanic knows what the mechanic is doing, but no one's like asking for specifics because like also in normal life, I don't care what the specifics are. I just want to know the mechanic can fix it.
Yeah.
So it's, I think that's actually a good rule of thumb. If it's the kind of thing that you as a normal person going about your life would need to know, then
Hmm.
yeah, maybe you need to explain it. But if it's like an expert thing or like a professional thing,
Like a
the readers don't
trade
need to know.
even. Yeah,
Yeah,
no. I'm never like, I don't know if I believe you can change my oil. Could you
yeah,
explain to me what you're
exactly.
going to do and why and how so I
Yeah,
can believe
like
that you're going to change my oil?
can you imagine going in to like get your oil change and the guy's like, okay, here are all of the exact steps I'm gonna take. I'd be like, are you impersonating an employee? Like,
I'd be like, I do you
you
work
work
here?
here? Like, I don't know that I believe you do now. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, it's either
Um,
that or you would be like, do you think I'm stupid?
yeah, exactly.
Like
So then it's like there's no
one of the
good
two.
outcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, either they don't believe you or you have given the impression that they're stupid.
Hmm. Yep, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe you do, but I don't recommend it.
yeah, you shouldn't. Uh, okay, and then like some more like grammatical things that I think are important for suspension of disbelief. Um, so the vocabulary that you use, I think, is important. Sometimes I think I read mostly YA, so I don't know if this is specifically a YA issue, but sometimes, people try to use words that are too big for what they're talking about. And this is actually okay sometimes. The book series I was reading that I've decided I'm not going to name because I feel like I would talk too negatively about it, even though it was good. Um, I think there was actually some good consistency with high vocabulary. The main character is someone that likes cool words, so she brings
Hmm.
up cool words in conversations a lot. People like during a down moment, someone would be like, "Hey, I learned this cool new word," and then they talk about it,
Hmm.
and it actually creates a good like consistent flow for the higher vocabulary being used throughout
Hmm.
in like the prose. But sometimes like characters that are talking normally will just like randomly
No.
use a I word, or characters that are kind of pretentious or maybe very like professional, or like think a medieval style fantasy where it's like a king or a duke or something, and suddenly they use a slang word in a way that's like kind of weird. It's you
No.
want to keep consistent. And
Yep.
sometimes like if the duke is using slang and then like winking at you, like, haha, see, I can be one of the normal people. That might be a character quirk, and
Yeah.
that's
If you're
fine.
doing it on
But
purpose.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're like writing a set, I come up against this problem a lot where like a character who's supposed to be like very refined is trying to say something and I actually don't know how to say it in a more refined way because I don't say it that way. Just like
Yeah.
don't use that sentence. Like reword it or like you can
Yep.
look up synonyms, but sometimes that doesn't go well. Like it might just be that I hate the reality that sometimes medieval style cultures just didn't say the things that we say. So they
Yep.
wouldn't be saying that thing, even though
Yep.
you want them to. They're not going to use, I mean, I'm sure they used filler words and stuff like that, but they didn't use the same kind, they just didn't reference the same kinds of things.
Nope.
And so sometimes if it just seems out of place in the language, it might be out of place in general.
Yeah.
And you got to stay with that tone of the story and the stakes of the story rather than this very specific moment where you feel like that is something a character
Yeah.
would say.
I think that's true for like made up slang too. For made up
Yeah.
words and made up slang. Like, do you
Hmm.
use a made up language? Do you only use it once? Don't use it. Cut it. Even if you only use it twice, like
Right.
don't just cut it. If you're going to
Yep.
consistently use it and be consistent, then sure, go for it. But otherwise, just don't because people are they're gonna have questions about it. Same with
Yep.
slang, I know because we say, "Oh my God," and stuff like that, or
Hmm.
whatever, like ways that we speak, like whatever, which
Yeah.
you're probably not going to want to use that in fantasy and even in science fiction. Like maybe you want there to be different slang, you want them to feel farther removed from where we are now.
Hmm.
But if you can't like think of something really convincing, like don't just like shove a word in there as like
Right.
replacement slang, like it always shows.
Yeah.
Just find a way not to say it. And it's usually sort of like an exclamatory word. At least
Right.
in my case. In which case, just show the reaction, just show what
Mhm.
they're experiencing, the
Yep.
shock instead if
Yep.
you just can't think of something good. Um, that's just unfortunately, it's very
Yep.
difficult, I feel like, to come up with good slang. Hot tip though, I have noticed people doing like in recent years more like ghosts, spirits, saints. So
Hmm.
like mystical, deistic sort of words for,
Hmm.
you know, which is weird. It's weird that humans do that, but it does seem to be something that humans do. So
Yeah.
if you're going that way and you're looking for like an slang exclamation, like don't just pick a word.
Right.
Like look at the why we use the slang we use and not just like the slang that like a particular culture like we use in America. Like look
Hmm.
at what's something that everybody has in common. That's why we're developing these words. How could this apply? if you really, really need to have that in your
Yep.
vocabulary.
Yep. So yeah, I totally agree. Um, and also don't like go overboard. This is true of slang and also just like either super elevated or super, what's the opposite of elevated? Lower words. Like if you're going to use, well, there was a word I came across in a book and it just kept getting used over and over and over. And it's
Mm.
not a common word, right? It's not like smirk or like, something that's like kind of normal
Smirk.
to see a lot. It was
Yeah.
like a higher brow word. And I was like, now my suspension of disbelief is gone. There's a
Yeah.
cat and she looks
It's
angry.
it's Flora. Yeah, she's always angry. That's my secret. I'm always angry. It's actually not a secret at all.
It's very obvious.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so like using the same word over and over, because like you can kind of use a word and be like, man, that was a good word. That's really useful to the situation. And then you're like, I'm gonna use it again. Don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Like, because the first time the reader might be like, okay, interesting. Like, that maybe they need to look it up, maybe they know what it means, maybe they're getting it from context. But when you start using it a lot, I think the idea is like they're now thinking it's more important than it is, and now they're just thinking about the word, and if they're not sure what it means, or if they are sure and maybe they don't think it was used right or whatever. So,
Yeah.
um, it's again just consistency in that language. Like if you're writing a literary fiction book, yeah, you should be using a lot of big words. Like that's like,
Yeah.
par for the course. But I wouldn't be doing that if generally speaking, you're not using a lot of words like that.
No.
So flowery language and like a lot of prose compared to dialogue and stuff, you can use bigger words. But if there's a lot of dialogue interspersed, it's just not going to make
Yeah.
sense for there to be a lot of that.
Yeah, if you use elevated language in dialogue, people will notice. So just know that. So
Hmm.
only if you want people to notice that someone's using that
Right.
language, that's the only reason to include it. Otherwise, just
Yep.
let them talk normally.
Yep. And this is a pet peeve that I discovered recently. Shifting back and forth between one must or you must, or like the second to third
Oh, I
person.
hate that.
So, like a lot of time now, I don't really like it when a book in first person or third person goes into second person, which would be if, let's say you're talking in third person, you're like, they went up the steps and you had to go up the steps, on the left side rather than the right side. I don't like it when people say you, but technically it's fine. Like I don't think it's great, but it's fine as long as you're consistent.
Yeah.
Later in the book, you shouldn't then say, they went up the stairs this way because one must do so. Like that's just
Yeah.
it's so annoying. Like don't do that. You got to
Yep.
pick one, pick a lane.
Yep.
And
I
I
say find a way
mean,
to word it where you don't have to do either because
yes,
I hate both. I
both of them suck.
really hate
One
both.
saying one must makes you sound super pretentious. So unless
Yeah,
that's what you're going for, and the you must makes it sound like you don't know what you're doing because
that's
now you're
exactly
shifting
right.
to second tense.
God, I love
So
English.
yeah, so much fun. But yeah, so consistency and tense is important. And then I also think this is one of the big reasons that suspension of disbelief is one of the big reasons you got to be careful not to have a lot of typos. Like I can forgive one or two, but once I've seen three or more, I'm now looking for them, and now I'm in like editor mode rather than reader mode.
Correct.
And again, not everyone's going to feel that way. Some people are going to be fine, but a lot of readers probably also like to write or are good with the English language and they're going to notice and it's going to take them out of the story.
Hmm.
So I think that's it's one of those things where I think sometimes people think, oh, well, people will give me leeway. It's fine. They understand. I think this is especially true of like indie authors. And it's like,
Yeah.
I want to give you the leeway, but the suspension of disbelief is gone either way.
Yep.
So it just
Exactly.
doesn't matter if I want to be kind. It's now
Yeah.
I'm not immersed anymore because editor
Yeah.
brain is on and editor brain doesn't get immersed.
No, it's true. It's
So
like, where are the flaws that I
yeah, I
wouldn't have
gotta find
even
the
noticed?
problems.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I named these faith killers. These are things that kill your
Oh,
faith
wow.
in the suspension of
Interesting. Sounds
disbelief
kind of
or the
badass,
immersion.
but we don't
Yes,
like them.
I
But it
know
does
they're
sound
bad.
badass.
Um, yeah, let's see. I guess this is kind of my overall point. I mean, you guys know me. I tend to like being super technically correct and using like perfect
What?
grammar and like all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to
That makes
suspension of
me feel
disbelief,
Zemblanimous. Actually,
it
that
makes
actually
me,
might be
there you go.
correct. I don't like that. It makes me feel
Uh,
Zemblanish. You're like, it's not,
you're
anyways.
like, I mean, you made it more wrong somehow
Zemblanus?
than just being wrong, but there you go.
Cool.
Anyway, I, you know, I like to be correct in terms of like being perfect grammatically and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to suspension of disbelief, it's really not a matter of being technically correct, like with the you must versus the one must. One must is technically correct in third person, but I
Yeah,
don't think that means you should use it. It's still going to suspend disbelief because people don't talk that way. And a lot of times that's just not the way that, you know, fictional books are written. And so it's, if it's not normal to the genre, people are going to notice it. So, especially in YA, I never really see one must or one should or those types of
yeah,
things. So when they do crop up, I'm like, oh gosh, that's weird.
yeah,
Um, you have to like attain that believability and you have to like get your readers' trust so that like later on, when something kind of crazy happens, they're still on board.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, uh, those were all my points. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
agree. I agree with all your points, and I definitely agree with that one too. Um, whoa, I just got like a bunch of notifications on the Instagram. Um, People like one of the reels that I put up on TPBC, like from a very
Yay.
old episode.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Anyways, make a note because that's not relevant, Ash. I was gonna say something about what you said. Oh yeah, that just it sort of goes back to what you said at the very beginning about like so much of writing books that correctly, address suspension of disbelief. It's so much of it is like gut instinct. It's like a sense
Yeah.
that you develop. There's no
Hmm.
technically right or wrong, but that doesn't mean that there's not things that will kill the faith or not.
Hmm.
There will be some
Exactly.
things are still faith killers, even if it's not technically wrong, and some
Hmm.
things that make what would otherwise be unbelievable even more believable, which is great. So, yeah, the number one tip, I think, I'll just even go back to what I said at the beginning too, just for the heck of it. Like, know your genre, read so much, build your sense, and then ask
Right.
people for their like hard critical opinion and be like, I
Hmm.
want to know specifically, is any of this not believable?
Right.
Um, so you can make a note of it. This is, and do not resist if you hire an editor or a beta reader. When I was editing, I came across this with several of my authors that I worked with. I would basically say, I see what you're going for here. This isn't really believable in this scenario. I recommend doing something like this. And I would get that exact response. They would say, but this is technically correct. And I'm like, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. This is
Right.
fiction. This is not about
Mhm.
technical correctness. This is about,
Yep.
is this believable to your readers? And the way you have it now is not. And I used to get some serious pushback on that. So definitely something to keep in mind. Like suspension
Yeah.
of disbelief is not about being technical, it's about being believable. So don't
Yeah.
get too caught up in the technical.
Yeah, and it's small picture and big picture, right? So like the grammatical rule I'm thinking of is like prepositions at the end of sentences. I use that all the time, even though it's not correct, right?
Yeah.
Because if you word it technically correctly, most people are going to like their brain is just gonna like catch on it. And they're gonna be like, wait, what? Like, because
Yeah.
that's not the way that we're used to hearing it or used to seeing it written and stuff. So it takes them out of that story, the immersion is gone, and then they have to like force themselves back in. So like in that sense, being technically incorrect is like kind of like being correct because you don't want the reader focusing in on the grammar like the editor should and like you need to know what you're
Yeah.
doing, but the reader shouldn't necessarily be noticing any of
Yeah.
that. But then like also big picture when it comes to like character behavior or whatever, like we were talking about, the character needs to just kind of just believe it instantly in order to not poke holes in your own story.
Yeah.
Yeah, a normal, reasonable person would probably take a while to really, come to terms with what's happening. But you
Yes.
you can't let them do that. Even though it's technically correct, you're gonna have to speed things up for the sake of
Yep.
pacing and the suspension of disbelief. So
Exactly.
like small and large.
Exactly. And that's so hard, especially I think if you write in first person or if you just like really feel like you have a good understanding of the human condition and what goes on in people's heads. Because you're like, I can put myself
Mhm.
in those shoes. If I
Right.
suddenly came into a diner full of vampires, I would have all of these questions and thoughts. I would need all of this stuff answered for me to understand and to believe what's going on. Or else I'd be
Right.
like looking for realistic explanations. Just because that's correct, and you're correct that most people would also react that way, does not mean that that's what you should reflect in the book. And that's so hard and it's so opposite of what we usually say about like life reflects art and vice versa. But
Mhm.
this suspension of disbelief is definitely one where the best thing that you can do is just believe. Your characters believe, You believe as the author, you don't have to justify it, you don't have to explain it. Even if you're like, but I would have questions, put them aside,
Mhm.
pretend that you don't. Believe
Yep.
in what you've written because
Believe in
it's
it.
so the opposite of like what most of us do, and in most cases that you would want to do, like getting in
Mhm.
your characters' heads. But yeah, for suspension of disbelief, you just gotta let it go.
I think that's a good point, though. You as the writer have to believe it. That's really what it comes down to.
You have to
Because when
believe that it's believable. If you're like,
Mhm.
I don't really believe it, maybe that's just something
That's why
like a
you're over explaining.
placeholder. That's why you're over
Yeah.
explaining. Exactly. Like if just maybe you don't have to fix it then. Just mark it and know that you have to
Mhm.
go back and make it believable to you.
Right. Because you do sometimes have to like give some information, but I think when you're insecure about whether it's believable or not, that's when you give too much. So if you really believe it, then you'll again, you'll just have that kind of instinct, gut sense of where you need to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like I've been writing in the same kind of magical world for a while. I've started accidentally talking like the like slang in the world building that I've created. And I'm
That's
like, wow, that's
amazing.
like really bad for my social life and really good for the suspension of disbelief. Like, I really
Yes.
believe it. So,
Yeah.
like, you want to be a little crazy, but in a way that is like internally consistent so that people will believe it when you write it
Yeah.
down.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do and I think that's like not to continue drawing us out, but that's a very good point
Yeah.
you just made. Like if you feel like you have to explain it, then maybe you didn't phrase it or put it into the world in a way that it's naturally believable enough. Maybe that's just something to mark and then remember to go back to and be like, okay, why did I feel like I needed to like really explain this part? And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's a notable because I think I'm trying to think of if there's ever been like a time that I've put something in my books that I've fantasy or science fiction that I've like invented myself and had
Mm.
to explain it, something that I felt like fit really well in the story. And I
Like an
can't.
item. Yeah.
Yeah, like an item or, like this type of magic or something. And if I've
Hmm.
ever felt like it fits really well, I've never explained it.
Hmm.
Like I can't think of a single instance, but I can think of stuff that I kind of put like I haven't really figured out how this works yet, like placeholder type thing, and then I do over explain it. But the stuff that
Yeah.
like really seems to fit, I don't think I have. So I don't know if that's
Yeah.
true for everybody, but that might be a very easy way to tell
Yeah.
if you need to rework something.
Yeah. It's kind of like we were saying, if in real life you would need to know, then maybe it needs to be explained. But if not, like just let it go. If
Yeah.
people aren't asking that question, then don't answer it
Yeah.
preemptively.
Yep. Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
that's all I've got on this topic.
that's all for me.
Sweet. That's all for now, folks.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to say to the listeners after we've reappeared after such a long time?
I don't know. Are we doing like writing updates?
Oh, yes, that's right. I
Okay.
was like, I'm missing
Because
something.
I have
That's
writing updates.
right.
Yeah. Like, yes, I do. So I'll go first because I started talking. So I can't remember the last update. I think my last update was when I finished that massive book earlier in last year. So I started writing another book, and it's hard. I can't really tell you anything about it, not because it's a secret, but just because it would be inherently spoilery. So I started working on it, and I'm really excited about it, but it was kind of like one of those books that I came up with and started writing when I was in like a dark place. And then I got to a
Hmm.
good place and I'm like, oh no, I can't write it now. I gotta wait
Yep.
until I go dark again.
Yep.
So I and I hate that. I hate like leaving books unfinished. Like I know some people can do that. Some people like starting a lot of projects. Ash has a couple going right now. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's me.
But I like can't stand. I feel anxious if I've started a book and I haven't finished it. Like I'm just
Yeah.
constantly in a state of anxiety that a book I'm writing isn't finished. I'm only
Oh no,
ever at rest when the
I
book
am
is done.
anxious about it. I'm not like this is so
Yeah.
much fun. I'm just like we're a failure, Ash, constantly. But I just push that little voice to the back of my head.
Yeah, just shove it under the rug. It doesn't exist.
It's fine.
Um, so that I like, and I'm so excited about it, which is why it's so hard. But like, I need to be in the right headspace because I don't want to put myself in a position where editing becomes super difficult because I wasn't into it when I was writing it. So I
Yes.
decided to put it aside for a little bit, and now I'm working on a different project. I have started querying, which I think I said on the Christmas episode. So
Yeah.
I'm querying my time loop book, which I'm excited about. I have to log into my email to get to the Zoom room that we use. And I was like, oh, I haven't checked it in a while. I'm gonna have rejections. And I didn't have anything. So, no requests, but no rejections. That's
Oh,
good.
well, all right.
Um, yeah. And also the holidays is like a weird time to send queries because
Yes.
everyone's like on break. So I'm like, is this a rejection by omission or are you like just
Just
not at work?
busy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of floating around, and I'll probably send out some more queries this weekend. But I'm very excited about this, and I'm gonna kind of like, I mean, I'm not gonna stop if you tell me it's a terrible idea, but I'm gonna kind of float it past you. So I've gotten really into like choose your own adventure stuff lately,
Yes.
and yeah, so I started playing around with like how could I write a choose your own adventure, and I have like these really ambitious ideas that are for the future, where it's like genuinely choose your own adventure. The book is like 1,000 pages long, but you only read like 300 pages of it because you choose the various paths. But that's for the future.
Amazing.
So I was thinking, what is like a manageable first choose your own adventure kind of style book I could write? So I came up with this idea, and I'm calling it a choose your own perspective novel, right? So
Ooh.
basically, it's I think I talked about this a little bit on the Christmas episode too, where it's like a murder mystery and it's a fantasy
Yeah.
murder mystery. And it's really cool. I'm really excited about like how everything's going to play out. But depending on the path you choose, you have a different perspective on whether the ending was like a good thing or a bad thing. So
Yeah.
like everyone will know the murderers, everyone will know, the ending is the same. The ending scene is the same for everyone. But if you've been popping into different heads along the way, you understand motives better, or maybe someone else was secretly involved and that isn't revealed at the end, but you know it. And like maybe
Ooh.
there's a red herring that you discovers red herring earlier on. So like your general path through the book like will be different depending on the path you choose. Like I want to create red herrings at different moments for different people. And like like certain characters are going to look like villains depending on
Uh-huh.
if you read a certain scene or they might be the heroes, right? Like is the love interest really a love interest or is he secretly nefarious? Like I'm so excited about it and I have it all planned out. Like I don't really use outlines, but I wrote an outline for it because
Yeah.
otherwise like I would totally lose track.
You definitely have
And
to. Yeah.
yeah, and I like figured out in Word how to set up like hyperlinks so you can actually click on the options
Mm-hmm.
to go there so you don't have to like scroll through.
Yep.
And I'm actually thinking it would be a really good ebook because you can actually just
Oh,
like hit the
yeah.
button and go straight there. And I also like I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, some people are just going to read through all of them, right? They're not going to pick, they're just going to read through all the scenes. So I want to make it so that even that is confusing, so that like you're either motivated not to do that or you're now
Yeah.
getting so much information that you have a totally different perspective than people on the other paths. So I'm just like really excited and it's very
God, it
cool. And
sounds so good.
I'm so excited about it. So I mean, I'm sure you'll read it at some point, but
Yeah.
I'm not that far through because like the holidays happened, so I didn't write as much as I wanted to, but um I'm very excited. I think it's a cool like I don't I have no idea if that's like queryable or not because, on the one hand it's like really unique, but on the other hand it's like really unique. So I'm just not
Yeah.
sure how that'll work. But it's while I'm querying another book, I think it's like a good project and I'm very excited. So
That is
choose your own
super
perspective.
exciting. I
Yes.
just finished, Javi got me for Christmas, he got me a sort of like puzzle book. It's not choose your own adventure, but like it'll be like you read like 4 pages of the story and then it'll be like turn to page 183. So then you like turn to that
Hmm.
page and then you'll read a little more and it'll tell you to like turn to page 14. And then it'll be like
Yeah.
a puzzle and you get to the
Right.
next page that you get to the page you're supposed to get to next by solving the puzzle.
Oh,
And it's
cool.
really cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was really fun and very
Yeah.
difficult. But
Oh,
yeah,
I mean, that's good. It's a challenge.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah. So I just have
Yeah.
this whole file in my computer now that's like all of these various like strategies to write a choose your own adventure because the thing that inspired me, and I don't really play video games, but YouTube thinks I'm a teenage boy. So it gives me a lot of videos about like video game choose your own adventures.
Hmm.
And I watch them because they're interesting and they're inspiring. And so I think they work better in video games because you can
Hmm.
actually just go along that path. There's no flipping, there's nothing like that. So
Yeah.
books I think are difficult, but I'm trying to find a strategy to like, just change the whole fate of literature. I don't know.
I think that's excellent and I'm so on
Yeah.
board. Even if you do have to do something like and then you flip to whatever page. Like
Yeah.
it did not bother me at all. I loved it because it
Hmm.
was fun and unique. But yeah,
Yeah.
also as an ebook, just clicking the link would be like really easy and
Yeah.
cool. That is
Exactly.
just so fun.
Yeah. Because the ebook would make it super easy. The audiobook, I don't know how that would work if you could just like, there's some kind of a prompt there, but then the ebook would like eliminate the option of reading all the scenes. So
Yeah.
then if you have the hard copy, you could read through all the scenes, but you could also flip through to the right path by just going to the
Yeah.
right page numbers. So I feel like it's like a cool option. And like, I'm thinking of the future. I'm like, it would be really cool to see people's like comments on it. Like, I got
Yeah.
this path and this character is my favorite. And then someone else being like, oh, you must not have read this scene because they suck in this scene and you realize that they're
Yeah.
actually responsible. And
Yeah.
like, it would just be so much fun.
That would be, yeah. I'm super psyched for this because I love like a
Yes.
mystery. So
Hmm.
I'm so psyched for you to write this.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna live vicariously because I've not done any writing. I don't think since I last
Oh.
told you guys I was on a roll with my Cinderella
Hmm.
book. And right now we are in the works planning a writing retreat. And that's really all the
Yeah.
details that we have. But Story Sirens Studio will be holding its first inaugural ever writing retreat, and it's going
Woo.
to be great, and hopefully it's something we're going to be able to do more often in the future, and we're going to be able to maybe open it up to more people. But right now we're still sort of like in the early planning phases of just trying to figure out like when and where. But so because that's what my brain is thinking, it's like business Ash, it's like production studio Ash, it's not
Yeah,
thinking like writer Ash. I'm
I see.
like, when I get to the retreat I'll finish my Cinderella
Yeah.
book,
Feel
which
like I
is
gotta save it for that.
yeah, which is so dumb. I'm like, you have plenty of things to write. You do not need to be
Mhm.
like saving anything. But
Right.
also, I have like 15 books, and I'm like, I would just rather read all my books. So
Yeah, that's
that's
fair.
that's my writing update. But
Very cool.
yeah. Is there anything else that you want to share with the peeps?
Nope, that's it for me.
Sweet. That's all for now, she says again. All right.
Again.
So, if you guys don't already, go ahead and follow us on social media. We are the Scripturient Society. We're on Instagram and TikTok. Lots of fun stuff to keep you guys motivated, both places, and to even make you laugh a little bit. If you're looking for some more laughter, you can go check out our sister podcast, That Pretentious Book Club, also on all the social media. And we just did our annual Christmas party episode, our fourth one, and it was absolutely deranged in the best way. So if you guys
It's
need a
fun.
laugh, it was good. It was fun. Those are always absolutely insane. If you
Mm.
guys have suggestions for what you want us to talk about on this pod, we would love to hear from you guys. You can message us on social media or you can email us at contact@storysirenstudio.com. That's our production company. That little, you're watching on YouTube, that little mermaid logo I'm pointing at, that's Story Sirens. And there's also merch if you go to that website if you want to support the pod. Uh, we would certainly love that. And also you can go out there looking like a huge nerd and you can rep your nerd pride, which we do every
You
day.
should have.
You should have, you should have,
It's
and you should
great.
do. So
Yes.
go check it out. Share the pod with your friends. Please leave us the 5 stars that you believe that Catherine so rightly deserves. And I do mean all of the Catherines because I realized I was talking
Yes.
about scary Catherine, Chris's alter ego, but also Catherine, our beloved listener, who sent us the sweet, sweet presents. And again, my apologies for
She deserves
taking in
everything.
a whole year. She does deserve. She deserves the world.
Yes.
Yep.
She does.
Uh, I think that's everything. So until probably a few more weeks when we'll be back again, keep writing.
And we'll see you on the next page.